recording 29 songs was difficult. Yes,
Yeah.
we did. Well, the writing process, we had so much material that we just kept going.
Mm-hmm.
Previous records, we would just write the record. We'd have enough for 10 songs, so 10 songs would be on the record. That's all the stuff we got. But this time we had just suitcases full of tapes from 5 years of downtime, touring, and all kinds of stuff. We had plenty of ideas, and we just kept going, kept writing and writing. And at one point, we just kind of said, we have to stop writing. We got 29 great songs. We got to get in the studio and start actually recording them.
Right.
So the idea was to do a double CD with all these songs. And we recorded all the drum tracks, and it ended up taking a really long time, and we just knew we wouldn't meet any time schedules. We'd be in the studio for a couple of years. That's not what we want to do. And so the tour and all this stuff kind of helped us end the record, the tour that's coming up. And we didn't really choose 14 of the songs. We knew how much time we could get on a CD, which is 80 minutes. Well, in most places.
Sure.
That's what we heard. Technology allows us about that without major problems on any CDs. So these songs kind of fit together well on it. And they were basically the 14 that were most finished.
We were on the road for bordering on 3 years. We took a year off to clear our heads, and we spent pretty much a year getting this record together. So there's your 5 years. Obviously, that time was not one of inactivity. It was one of probably the hardest work that we've ever done. The tour was the longest tour we've been on, probably the longest tour anybody's been stupid enough to go on. And it was, but you know what? We had a record that could carry that kind of tour, and it was the right thing to do, and it was the right time to do it. We got a chance to play to a lot of places that we might never go back to. A lot of countries opened up to us. And we came back to places like the UK and Europe and stuff like that 3 times on the run. So it was a great thing. After that, we really were in need of some serious time off for the first time in our career. We really needed to get away from Metallica for a while. And then we got back to Metallica, and me and James wrote about 30 songs, and we went in the studio and recorded 30 songs. So we actually didn't record one album while we were away. We actually basically recorded 2 albums, and we have the rest of these songs sitting, waiting to be used, hopefully on a second record that we hope to share with all you guys in about 18 months to maybe 24 months. So 5 years in terms of calendar years, but basically just tons of work, and I think it's gone really quick actually. So there you go.
Yeah, it seems like just a flash. I mean, I can remember doing the same sort of thing back in 1991. I mean, it's gone by really, really quickly. The whole 5 years, because I mean, it was not like we were just like sitting around, by the pool. I mean, we worked for those 5 years.
Over 5 years, you go back and wow, is that me playing that riff? I forgot all about that, and wow, how good that is. And I'm glad there's such a thing as a tape recorder and a lot of my notes on the record too, little one-liners and kind of for lyric things.
Scraps and napkins and whatever.
Chicken scratch on hotel paper and napkins and all that. The book was thick, and but once I started writing, I never really looked in that book. I just kind of went on and maybe forgot some of the other stuff I had kind of jotted down, which isn't bad because you just get something gets in your head and you just run with it.
We went in April, the end of April of '95, in Sausalito, California,
yeah.
the record plant, which is really close to Lars's place, close to James, all within an hour of all of us basically. It's the first time we've ever recorded at home. We've got to stay in our own beds at night and that kind of thing. Up till now, Denmark or Los Angeles, wherever it happened. We went in with that idea of doing those 29 songs, right? That this task, can we do this double CD? get 6 months in, do those drum tracks, look at each other, have kind of a team meeting, and go, this is not, going to work because we have to have that light up there to see, to go on tour and do all that thing. We want to get out in the summer, not miss the generation of listeners, let people know Metallica's alive and well and kicking. We want to get it going again, get it flowing. So that happened. Decided those 14 songs, came back around, and we moved everything to New York on March 1st, the whole operation, to finish up with vocals and some guitar stuff, and then the mastering.
Well, if you asked me that question the day we finished the Black album, I would have told you we would never work with him again. If you had asked him that question, he would tell you he would never work with us again. The Black album was a tough record to make. A lot of stress, a lot of arguing, a lot of difference of opinions and stuff like that. I think also just Bob, from where he was coming from, where we were coming from, it was a pretty ugly record to make. The main thing that happened between the Black album and our new record is that a few of us developed some pretty close friendships with him. We got a chance to hang out away from the studio, spend some time together, not working on a record, and a few of us got really tight with him. I think I developed a really close friendship with him in the last couple of years. When it was time to sit down and figure out what to do with this record, it was pretty automatic, but it wasn't automatic 4 or 5 years ago when the last album was done. So he was back again. This record, of the 6 records we've done, was definitely the easiest record to make, the least stressed out record we've made. We definitely also, bought some time on this one in the studio. We worked one notch lesser in terms of the stress level. This is the first record we've ever made at home in San Francisco, and we kind of told ourselves that we would rather the record take 2-3 months longer and we don't kill ourselves or each other doing it. So this has definitely been the least difficult record for us. It was difficult and so on, but it was the least difficult and the least stressed out record we've made. And I think the situation with Bob now is one, I look at Bob more in the studio as like a friend that you bounce ideas, not like sort of a producer-artist relationship, but more like we have a good friend of ours in the studio who we throw ideas at, who throws ideas at us, who helps us get what we want. When we sit down and make a Metallica record, there isn't a lot of criteria because we're so instinctive. But we did tell Bob that we really thought we wanted to once again try and be looser than we'd been before, to bring a more of a band thing to the forefront, and to try and get more of how we play live, more of a live thing down on the record. Those were the only major instructions given to him, and off we went.
The material that we had, it basically kind of wrote itself. So a lot of the riffs, we weren't so concerned about, okay, here's a great riff and now we're going to put a bunch of other riffs around it and construct the song certain ways. We just got some just straight ahead great riffs and built on just the one riff and kind of let other things happen around it. Lars and I would take Kirk or whoever's riff, start jamming on it, and then other things would flow out of it. Instead of trying to put all these pieces of a puzzle together,
Right.
the song kind of helped write itself. And in turn, they got their own feel. There's definitely some greasier stuff on there.
Sure.
Some more hard-edged picking. There's just different, more jamming feels to it all, I think. We write for ourselves, and that's it. And when you do write for yourself, and there's 100% honesty in the music, people really can see that. They can tell if you're writing songs for say doing the Black Album over again.
Yeah.
Who would be happy with that?
Not us.
Maybe a small amount of people, but if we're not happy with it, it's gonna just drag us down.
That's right. And you're going to be able to see through it. Period.
And it's just the honesty factor shines so brightly through it all.
You just can't go around doing that. You can't. Metallica's never been that way. it's obvious you listen to the record. He wasn't thinking about whatever.
No.
Somebody listened to their headphones in Auckland, 14-year-old somebody, and it has to be 400 miles an hour. It's obvious he's not thinking of that kind of thing. It's all over the place. Metallica, we retain like the metal part of it always. It always is heavy because of the mood that it creates. Even if it's just acoustic guitars and B-benders or whatever, it's still heavy for what it is, right? And so we're not content in just sitting in that one spot. We got to keep taking the big paces. That's what we expect from ourselves. That's what people expect from Metallica as well. To take those big paces for everybody in a way. It really is. James's thing that he kind of said through this recording of this record, or since we've been building it, really, dare to fail. You have to keep going. People say, what is the direction of this new album? Or that kind of thing. Direction for Metallica is forward. That's it.
I think it's when you try too hard, it doesn't work. And you sit down, okay, it's 8 o'clock, I'm going to sit down and write some lyrics. Okay, go.
Yeah.
It doesn't work that way, and it's as cliche as it sounds, it just comes to you sometimes, and when you least expect it. And so blank periods are good. I mean, it's good to kind of just have nothing in your head for a few minutes. Then it clears space for this stuff to get in there, and you sit and you listen to yourself, and the stuff happens. But really, if you try too hard, it won't work.
It was a conscious decision.
That was
definitely.
our plan. To
Mhm.
get it a little looser, and I mean, it probably sounds more lively than any other studio record we've done. I mean, it's not actual live takes, but
Sure.
it's got that angst and that
sure has.
that urgency of some of that live stuff, and that's exactly what we went for, and not so overproduced. I mean, there's obviously textures and things that are so much fun once you get the meat of the song together, but not overproducing it, not over EQing anything, just keeping it with more of a raw feel and a real sound. That was the plan. It wasn't a long time writing. We did a big chunk of it, and then we went into the studio, and we still were writing some stuff. There's probably 6 that came together after that. But
Actually,
Poor Twisted Me was just something I was goofing around actually on. And Lars came in and said, "Hey, let's jam on it." And I said, "Okay." And then a song happened.
Right, and eventually put a different what they started out with that idea on this particular song we're talking about,
Yeah.
Twisted Me. The thing, like, say, the groove of it or whatever, it was quite different than what it ended up to be. I mean, it always had that Skinnerty thing to it, whatever, that guitar thing. But the bass didn't do the thing that it does, and it doesn't do that.
Yeah.
It didn't do that pause stuff until we were able to start expressing ourselves in the studio and got, like, full green light for freedom for playing that bass part on there, something that those guys maybe hadn't heard in their heads before or something like
Right.
that. Totally different. It was the thing that happened this time, man. For the first time in all of our career of Metallica, we got to go home for just a little bit, more than just a couple weeks at Christmas or whatever,
Right.
and enjoy the fruits of our labor a bit. Kind of sit back and get our feet on the ground again after like the 22-month tour of full on. Got to just sit there for a second and look around. Not that he remembers it a whole lot, he says, but I think that we did have some time at home to kind of get back with our partners and that kind of thing, with our friends, and kind of find ourselves, build confidence again, start feeling better about ourselves. Once we went into the studio and we got these songs together, started seeing how many songs were coming about, some different things that happened with our personally and everything. James and Lars kind of brought down this guard a little bit that they had on their, protected music kind of thing, whereas, they're going to put the name Metallica on there, so it's got to be just so. Finally got this more mutual respect happening, and those guys, like, opening up to Kirk and I and letting us really go for it on our instruments and do different things, and in turn help them do the same thing. Once that we built the foundation, the first time that Metallica's done drums and then bass, building the rhythm section, and then doing like all other bands have done forever or whatever. It's always been guitar and drums in the beginning.
Right.
This time we set this foundation with the regular groove thing, so he was able to get a lot looser on his guitar. It's not so, cut and dried, chop, chop, and then Kirk played rhythm guitar for the first time on a Metallica album. The songs were constructed in a way that we started to dabble with in the Black Album a little bit more of orchestration, first chair guitar, second chair guitar, and this over here in the left speaker, and this certain nuance here and whatever. That all really came into play this time with everybody's freedom. Everybody being able to be him going in the studio with just Bob Rock and Randy Staub, making the team for making the coolest guitar sounds, pure sounds.
Sure.
Like the telly straight into a certain cool amp or cool old analog pedals or whatever. Everybody got to do their own thing. I got to go in there with those guys as the bass team, right? And same with Kirk and so on and so on.
Sure.
And in that way, it gave us a freedom to really do that thing. So when I end up putting that bass line on Poor Twisted Me that wasn't there before and makes it the song that it is, it was all from like everybody feeling better about themselves, to be cool to each other, giving each other more space and that thing. That's why it's so lively and like human factor and maybe imperfections here and there and a band feel.
It's not about the song. I mean, it's not. It's not about the group The Cure.
It's not.
No.
You sure?
I have some bad news, Lars. It's not about Robert Smith. It's I mean, okay, this goes back to an earlier question, talking about the lyrics of the song. It's about anything you really want it to be.
That's probably more of a Metallica song than most of the others. I think it's more of the old style. I
It
think.
reminds me of like Ride the Lightning stuff. It really does. The epicness of it all, really, that's cool.
That
That's
came together
definitely one of my
fairly
favorites.
quick. But I mean, the song's 10 minutes. To me, it's not. It doesn't even sound 10 minutes. I mean, it's just how the cycles are, the verse, chorus, whatever thing, are just so long and really. It is slow motion getting to this place, but once you're there, it's like, whoa. Very
Best
cool.
vocals ever, too, man.
That song is, I think, extra special, at least to me, and I'm pretty sure the other three and Bob, because it was something that I think Bob was a little concerned that we don't really jam and create things like all four of us. Like Lars and I sit and we construct the songs, But this was something. We were just loosening up before some drum tracks or something, and we just started goofing with something, and he, whispered, "Hey, push record, man," and got some stuff on tape, and within a couple days, we worked at it, kind of twisted things around, and it came out to be that song. Yeah, we built it, and it was so cool. It's like,
First thing.
hey, we can do it,
It's a
guys.
really good song.
Out of all the kind of hell and fun that we went through with this record, the mastering went fairly smooth. Lars and I were there, and everything was like great. And then the last 5 minutes, I had cigar in hand, ready to go, ready to spark it up. And Lars says, "We got to look at this one thing at the beginning of the song." It's like, what? No, please don't
I
start.
was like doing guitars, I
Oh,
think, 2 days
man.
before the mastering started. He was still putting guitars on the record.
I was writing lyrics while we're mixing song 8 or something.
Fixing the shrink wrap, it'll be cool, no problem.
But yeah, the last few minutes was like, oh, dude, don't do this. Well, I guess it can't go easy, When it's too easy, something's wrong. So we argued for about half an hour. We were at a total stalemate, and put the cigar down. we put the gloves on. But it finally worked out in the end, and I didn't really realize it was done till the flight home. I had the DAT, and I actually put it on and I listened to it head to toe, and it was like, oh, that's like some good stuff we did.
Not too bad.
And yeah, listening to it finally, the whole track listing there.
We really wanted something that was vague. We wanted something that was not, pardon the pun here, a loaded title, something that had a lot of weight to it, something that was sort of, we've been there with the concept records, we've been there with the deep, meaningful, bordering on political statements and this type of stuff, and in the spirit of the Black Album, or the Untitled album, or the Metallica album, whatever you call it. We really wanted to continue that. I think especially James felt that as the lyrics were getting more and more personal, he felt that he was less and less interested in tying the songs together. lyrically, tying the songs together in a subjective, subject-wise. And I think we wanted to just try and find a title that meant nothing or could mean anything you wanted it to mean. I think we've got about 6 or 7 different options for what the title actually could mean, bordering from the completely stupid to the more serious to, whatever it says on your DAT player there. Well, I mean, it's...
Just wait till the album cover comes out. That'll open up a whole nother can of beans right there as far as the title's concerned. It has a nice ring to it, too. Load, I think.
We got a
Big
new,
time vibe.
new stage design happening, like even sicker than last time, and gonna take out to Europe first, and then do some in the States, and then start cruising around. Get back all over down here,
Right.
all over the place. That any place that'll let us play once again, any place that will let us in, we really want to do that
Okay.
anytime.
But it's the life we choose, and it's one of the extremes of it all.
Right.
You're at home for 6 months, relaxing and going insane there, and then you're on the road. The exact opposite. Just completely mental every night. Just
Yeah.
letting all
It's-
this energy pour out of you, and that's probably the most difficult, coming down off of the tour or getting geared up for the tour.
Right.
Both of those things. But once you're out there and the big wheel is rolling, just crushing all over the place, there's no better feeling really when you're on, and people can see it and they feel it. And the Black Album kept us out for 2 years,
Yeah.
and there's so many places that opened up for us, a lot of the Pacific Rim, and then some stuff, even further into Europe, the Eastern Bloc, and even further south there, Greece and Turkey and things like that. We want to play everywhere. Just let us in.
That's right.
Dare you,
It's always been our quest, right? It continues to be. We want to play to as many people as we possibly can. We've made a lot of good decisions and good moves as far as touring or certain, say Grammys of '88, playing and bringing this ugly music out in front of a bunch of people that never knew that it even existed, and that
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
thing, right? Different decisions like that are playing on different tours, say Guns N' Roses or whatever, and reassuring ourselves that we're doing the right thing. Keep making those kind of decisions and keep pressing on. We continue to grow. People grow with us, that kind of thing. That's the whole idea behind it.
There certainly was a spirit back then that was a lot of fun, totally blinders on. We're just having a great time. We're just so committed to our music, and nothing's going to stop us taking to so many people as possible. I think the spirit of that has been maintained as much as it can be maintained when the numbers get to where they are. And I do think that deep within the nucleus of what we do, it's not really that different than it used to be. So it's 10, 12 years later, but I don't know if the attitude has changed that much within the band. It's more around the band that things have changed, if you understand what I mean. And I certainly won't, it's not necessarily more fun now than it was. We've always maximized, when you said that, every situation we've been in, whatever level it's been at, we've always tried to get the most out of it in a fun way, and with the music and with hanging with people and the fans and the attitudes and stuff. So it's just a different level. Going down yesterday to the playback at Battersea Park, I think we signed every single autograph there for about an hour, met every kid, shook every hand, and I don't see it being that different than it used to. There's some more of them, but that's probably the only difference.
The big difference is that we probably have more space to ourselves as far as like traveling is concerned. We still have pretty much the same sort of attitude. It's us and the fans. It's just that we travel a little differently, and we have a little nicer hotel room. But there certainly is a tendency to romanticize those days when we were first starting out, and we were just like full on, just hungry musicians who were just bent on shoving our music down everyone's throats. I mean, we're still like that. We're still doing that, obviously, right now. This press tour is just another faction of that. But, you know, it hasn't really changed that much. It just things around us have changed a bit.
Band has been together for 14 years or
Yeah,
something crazy
40.
like that.
And you've
And
been with them 10. Yeah.
just growing up together. I mean, that it is family, no doubt. And some of us have strong family lives, some don't. So this is really family for quite a few of us. And to not respect your family is wrong. And we all really keep each other in line. We all keep tabs on each other, you know, with the Metallica sarcasm we have. It really, it's funny, but it cuts and it works.
Somehow it's developed. Everybody shows respect for each other. You know, everybody gives each other space. You're not necessarily going to agree with what the guy says every time, or like all of his friends, or the decision she makes, or the things that he wears, or whatever it happens to be. But that's what you got to love him for that, man, because that's him, you know, and that's what makes this thing tick. That's what makes, you can't just put any four people together and it goes, yeah, you know, there's certain chemistry that just happens between folks, and that's why, I mean, he necessarily doesn't like all the music I listen to, vice versa, that kind of